Hey guys, this is actually going to be a quick little rant video on the James Bond situation. James Bond. Sorry, I had to do it. So I've been seeing, I'm sure a lot of you, if you're in the entertainment media and following, on Twitter and social media and stuff, following this situation with the James Bond No Time to Die film that's coming out, you'll have probably noticed the uproar and, in my opinion, ridiculousness that has been created from having a female cast in the film. I think that this started and the controversy began when news that there would be a female cast, and there was a very big misconception and an immediate reaction from James Bond fans that this female would take over the Bond role and take over the Bond character. Obviously, that's pretty fucking ridiculous, but I'll explain. So, James Bond was obviously in retirement, and he's coming out of retirement for this situation. It hasn't been completely thoroughly explained in the trailer, but it's fairly basic, I think, the concept of it all. And he encounters another female agent, and I just want to point out that is exactly what she is, and that is only what she is. Everybody has lost their fucking mind thinking she is James Bond, or she is replacing James Bond, and that is not the case. James Bond is his name, 007 is his tag, so to speak. So he is part of Secret Intelligence, he's part of M16, he is a spy. There are a whole line of spies. James Bond is not the only fucking spy in M16. He's just the one that the story is focused on. Now, keep in mind, I want to point out, because I'll come back to it later, that this is a fictional character. Now, so he is a spy, and his number is part of that division, M16. So, she is also a spy, as you can see in the trailers, which has now been confirmed, so I don't know why people are still going on about it, that he mentions that she's a 00, she's another 00, because there are fucking probably 0055, like so she's not actually replacing James Bond, she's just another spy. Now, what it looks to me like it's gonna be in this film is that she might have a little bit of rivalry with him, and she might be competing for like top agent or whatever the fuck they do in M16, and trying to make a name for herself. Not James Bond's name, no, but trying to make a name for herself perhaps, and somehow is getting in his way. I think though, towards the end, what I think is going to happen and how the story is going to play out is that she's going to become an ally, or they're going to meet on common terms, and somehow they're going to work something out and be cool with each other basically, and she's going to help him out. So what I see the female being cast in the film, is I only see it, if anything, as one, adding diversity with a female character, because every time we've ever seen a James Bond film, and I'm a Bond fan, I'm not a huge James Bond geek, but I am a fan. I think GoldenEye was my favorite video game. I love the video games, and I've seen most of the films. I think, by the way, Sean Connery was my favorite Bond, just FYI. But I think it's adding diversity, because traditionally in the Bond films, unless we saw a female in a bikini or looking promiscuous, that was the way that Bond has been portrayed with female characters for the most part. I don't think there haven't actually been female spies in Bond films. I believe there was one or two, but they're always going to be, playthings for Bond essentially, and they've given such a limited amount of time, and they're very irrelevant side characters. And I think people have really freaked out because this female spy is more focused on in this film, if anything, and she's been brought to the light in a more present way than most women traditionally in Bond films have been. And so yeah, adding diversity into the film by casting another female agent, either for rivalry or whatever the case may be, I don't really see it as a problem. I think it's kind of cool. If there was a male cast as another agent who is in comparison or like, you know, competition with Bond, and he's introduced in this film, I don't think there would have been so much of an uproar. And I think for some reason it would have been very clear that he is not replacing Bond. But perhaps, I don't know, the internet is, maybe somebody would have thought that he would have replaced James Bond somehow. But I think if it was made really clear that there was another male actor cast as a, you know, competitive rival of, in terms of an agent, I don't think there would have been this much of an uproar. And I do think a few people may be slightly sexist towards the situation, because this character is so beloved, and it is so in the genetics and DNA, pun intended, I guess, of James Bond, that he is a male. So I don't think anything less for some people, not everybody, but for some people, because they have this image that has been solidified over so many years of what he is, what he represents, and how it all works. I think anything less than equality, meaning a male, would have made people flip out and completely outraged. Now, I don't think everybody is like this, and I don't think everyone has these, you know, ignorant viewing glasses on all the time. But I do think there is a percentage of people that are a bit biased, I guess, because of the character, and would never be interested in a female replacing him, or even comparing to him, or whatever she's actually been cast as. Because again, to clarify, 007 is a number, he is an agent, and she's not replacing him, she's just another agent that has been put in there to probably stir things up and ruffle the feathers for the film, for film purposes, basically, just to make it interesting. Also, if anything, like I said, diversity is the first thing. The second thing is, people always complain about, you know, gender swapping characters and not having creativity to create original characters for females or for males. Now, the way I see it is, yes, she may be introduced in the James Bond franchise film. However, I believe No Time to Die is the last James Bond film. I believe Daniel Craig has said he's not doing another Bond film, and this is his last one. Meaning, we could see the James Bond franchise being dead forever, which I doubt, because he always comes back. But at least for the you know, short term, we probably won't see another Bond film for quite a while after this one. So, who they'll cast as James Bond in the future, I have no idea. But I don't think it'll be a female. Like, guys, stop freaking out. But as in terms of the female character that's cast in this, she could have a spin-off. She could have a film created based on her character, similar to, let's say, you know, Black Widow. Black Widow is a superhero, so is Iron Man. You know, there were films made about Iron Man, and now there's a film getting made about Black Widow. It's not that different. You know, they're in the same league, if you will. So having a female agent being put in and starting off through the James Bond franchise does not mean that originality is not being created there. Because if you remember, as I said earlier, James Bond was a fictional character created. He was created in writing first and then put onto the screen. So I don't think, you know, people complain about gender swapping, but that's not what this is. And I'm personally not a big fan of gender swapping. If it fits the character and the role, I'm okay with it. But if it doesn't serve the story a purpose and it's just put there to be there because it's what, you know, general stereotypes want, I'm not a big fan, because I'm a big fan of film and creativity and story. And it has to be true to the story, it has to make sense, it has to be palpable to have a reason to exist, basically, not just because. But I don't see why people are complaining, because people ask for originality and creativity. Well, M16, James Bond's M16, was created. It's fictional, meaning there is no reason why a whole line or slew of characters, of double O's, of whatever, male, female, can be brought out and brought onto the big screen and really like splashed and fleshed out as characters, as legitimate characters that are new creations. She's not, her character is no different to James Bond, and James Bond was a creation of that. So yeah, maybe it's, you know, a little off-putting for people because she wasn't just created as a blank slate in a different project whatsoever, and then she was brought to our attention. But frankly, I think people are just reaching just a little bit, because if she had been done that way, maybe people wouldn't be so, you know, up in arms about it. But let's be honest, a lot of people, if there was a female M16 agent named Barbara Walters, but let's just say that's what it was, let's be honest, a lot of fucking people would have just compared it to James Bond anyway. They would have been like, oh look, it's James Bond with a female. It's a female James Bond gender swap bullshit. And my whole thing is that since when did being a spy become a male dominated thing, and that's the only thing? You know, Hannah was an awesome film, female spy. Salt, awesome film, female spy. Spy with Melissa McCarthy, female spy. Like there are males and there are females. It's been pretty much clarified in almost any spy film you can watch. There are both male and female agents. Now, which one is focused on is up to whoever wants to create that vision for themselves, for whatever they want. They want a female, they want a male. As you can see, by the example I've just given, like, both have been used in film. And I don't see the problem with her character being pulled from the franchise if this is all hypothetical, by the way, because for all we know, she's just a side piece put in there to, you know, give some credit to, you know, this actor, basically. And I think it's great for her, and I feel so sorry for her for the shit that she's gotten for simply taking on a role. And I think there's nothing wrong with, if they were to go the route of ending James Bond and then starting a spin-off film franchise with a female. I know a lot of people would be up in arms about that. But you can't complain about it on the creativity side and the originality of it all. I don't think that would be fair. Maybe be disappointed that your favorite character is gone, but don't be fucking sexist and look at it as a replacement of, because she simply isn't. And people can sit there and complain about it all they like, or comment here or whatever, but that is the truth. She is another created fictional character based off of the same creation that James Bond is a part of. So I don't see the problem with it, to be honest. And I think if people looked at it that way, as opposed to the very, you know, two-dimensional version that a lot of people have seen it as, I don't think they'll be as outraged. And if you look at the history of female actresses in film playing spies, there's quite a few of them as well. So again, James Bond, the title, the name of Bond is not being replaced with Natasha something. Like, he is James Bond. He's the only James Bond, and James Bond, if ever recast and made again, will be a male. The producers come out and said the same thing recently, and, you know, it's just kind of bothered me that people are so silly to think that James Bond would be replaced by a female and she would be like female Bond. That's just ridiculous. Obviously that's not the case. So I just wanted to clarify this, because I've seen way too much shit and it just keeps going on and it's ridiculous. And I'm actually a fan, and it's kind of ruining my, you know, want to watch the film, because there's just so much controversy surrounding it. And I can only imagine that, you know, the cast and then producers feel the same way about this. So I think people need to just chill out and realize that James Bond will always be James Bond. So that's all. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you guys later.